over the last 4 months since I last talked about Sam and Cat, I've addressed of how bad this show is, for how it's mostly a spin-off that it didn't need to happen, and the fact that Janae McCauley regrets on doing most of the work involving iCarly and Sam and Cat, along with Ariana Grande continuing on with her music career. The production of Sam and Cat was really, really out of control. So much to the point that the downfall of Dan Snyder's shows will just get much more worse and worse. You can easily tell that any episode that you watch from Sam and Cat, they don't hold up when it comes to it being a spin-off. Seriously, across the Goes series, even if I didn't enjoy it for what it is for being its own thing, I can see it that has much more attention and much more focus than Sam and Cat. But I will say this though, there is one episode, or in this case, special, that makes this entire spin-off mostly worth it, even if it's just one special, and that is hashtag the Killer Tuna Jump. And people don't usually talk about this a lot when it comes to the episodes from the show. And with this being mostly a special to have returning characters from iCarly and Victorious, I will say this, they somewhat make this a really good way to have somewhat of a mini reunion of having characters from iCarly with Victorious meet again. But at the same time, I realized that after watching iCarly with Victorious, I realized that some of these characters never talked with each other. Mainly Sam and Jade, Freddy and Kat, and as for Robbie talking to Freddy and the other characters, okay, I guess that Sam is literally the only character that he hasn't talked to the first time. This special really feels like it's a somewhat sequel towards iPod with Victorious, except that it's a special, the only special, as part of the spin-off of iCarly and Victorious. Dice and Sam make an agreement on doing a Killer Tuna Jump stunt in front of so many people. And considering that Sam is the bravest when it comes to ridiculous stunts, she's willing to drive the motorcycle to fly over the pool of killer tuna fishes. Let me just say right now that the plot of this is mostly odd to have it as the main focus of a special, but considering that this leads to Kat being really jealous of the relationship of Sam and Jade, this leads to her calling Freddy after faking that Sam got into a car accident. Mainly the fact that she doesn't want Sam to go over the tuna jump because it's too dangerous. This is like the closest way we're ever going to see a relationship involving Sam and Kat much more suitable when it comes to the somewhat relationship getting closer together. Let me just say right now, with them being mostly different when it comes to other episodes, this special honestly feels like what this show should have been all along, but apparently all we get is Kat completely ignoring what Sam is doing, which is way worse of what Sam did in iCarly, and considering that we get to see returning characters from the main shows, this really feels like the only material you can enjoy from Sam and Kat the most. Let me just say right now, after watching some of the episodes involving Sam and Kat, there was not one episode that is considered good nor entertaining. But with this really feels like the epilogue of the endings of iCarly and Victorious, even if Victorious didn't have a final episode to conclude everything. Every time I think about this special alone, with it being the only special that Sam and Kat had, it makes all the other episodes from the show rejected ideals from those shows that easily isn't really suitable for the characters from Victorious and iCarly to be in. That's just how much that this show really fell from grace when it comes to Schneider's Bakery quality. So every time I easily think about this special, it honestly feels like this is what every other episode should take inspiration from, but considering it came out during the time while the episodes were airing from Sam and Cat, This was a lot more odd when you consider that after this, all we had was Henry Danger and Game Shakers. Well, let's be honest, even if they're not on the same levels as iCarly and Victorious, they at least try to do something a lot more different and try to do something original compared to Sam and Cat. I would talk about anything else when it comes to the pairings of the returning characters with the current characters, but the thing is, there's really nothing else to actually discuss involving the characters we're telling, other than we just get fan service of Jade and Sam hanging out, since that they didn't do that in iPod with Victorious. And as for the relationship with Freddy and Kat, this is pretty much literally the only dumb moments that she did, where she just tries to win Sam over by having someone else that Sam knows, since that they were once BFFs. In other words, not really BFFs, but boyfriend and girlfriend, which less said about the Sayog, the better. And every time I think of Robbie in this special, he's a lot more different compared to what he was in Victorious. I know it's odd considering he was mostly this weird in Victorious, but the thing is, the fact that his character is a lot more different when it comes to finalization, and the fact that he isn't really sane as he was in the earlier seasons, this is way more difficult for me to find him really entertaining in this special alone. Which is really saying something when I watch the majority of the other episodes involving him in Victorious, especially the later seasons. Getting back to Sam and Kat in this special, considering that Sam is just doing something just to raise money for herself and Dice, the fact that Kat is willing to go through the jump even though that she fails, which ends up leading Robbie and Freddy to get jumped into the pool with tuna fish after being on an object that they had to go on because they can't get a wall because it was totally sold out. This special, with its name involving the Killer Tuna Jump, actually somewhat is accurate because it didn't say anything about, mostly about having the bike going over the pool and get to the other side. Granted, that's probably what people expected these characters to do, but considering that this is a Shania's Bakery show and they don't do ridiculous stunts and try to make some of the logic in these shows way more realistic compared to Disney Channel sitcoms, I can appreciate the style of these sitcoms, even though mostly spin-offs. It's those moments where you can actually tell of how much that these sitcoms cater towards kids can be a lot more different compared to the Disney sitcoms. Granted, the way of doing sitcoms is alright, but every time I think of this, these arguments and also situations can easily happen in real life, even if the show can sometimes be a lot more worse as years goes by. But let's just say right now, there are so many people that can't easily handle carrying another show forever when it comes to the later years in writing. And the more I say about this, it will probably me discussing about that again in another episode. But if there's one thing I can easily say something nice involving this special, is the fact is there was at least some effort into this special compared to all the other episodes from Sam and Cat. I'm just gonna say right now, if you're gonna do a spin-off of a popular show, you should at least put some kind of effort into it, while also have some kind of continuity compared when it comes to iCarly and Victorious. At this point, I really think that me talking about this show, and with this being probably the best of what this show can do, me talking about the other episodes will probably be a waste of time. Me talking about Lay Day was different since I did different ideals back in 2017. And me reviewing the Magic ATM is supposed to be something I want to do by returning to the show. But getting to this, I don't even think that me reviewing another Sam and Cat episode isn't really a good idea. Because let me just be real with you. There was nothing new in this aside from this special alone. And if I'm really this curious to go back to type of shows that are mostly worth watching, but at the same time for stupid reasons, it would definitely be this special alone, since it's considered the best out of any of the other episodes from Sam and Cat. So, I give this episode a 7 out of 10, but to be quite honest, you're better off watching the iCarly and Victoria specials because they at least put some kind of effort into them, even with one of the worst specials.
Let's get this started again. Me and my